Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drayhon, and welcome back to Pathfinder Hero Flux. That is flux as in fluctuation, a synonym for conversion. I've got to say that because one of the first times I did this series, the YouTube monitor bot people apparently had a malfunction in their programming and flagged that video. Took care of it, everything's fine and dandy. But I am saying this from now on, just to make sure nothing else happens. Anyway, enough with that. Today we have a request from one of you dear viewers, Ag Silver Radio. They actually made this character quest in the past for Dungeons & Dragons character conversion, but now they want to do it for Pathfinder, as they have transferred over to the Pathfinder system. We are doing Voodoo Vince from the game Voodoo Vince. A living voodoo doll. While in Dungeons & Dragons I had to kind of finagle it by finding a semi-suitable race, with Pathfinder there is actually a easier race to use, and one that actually makes sense, which we will get into here shortly. Starting things off with our stats, we're going to go ahead and give our free ability score increases to Strength, Constitution, Intelligence, and Wisdom, giving us a 12 in those stats, while Dexterity and Charisma are at a 10. For our ancestry, we are going with the Puppet. For our heritage, we are choosing Ghost Puppet as a reference to what brought Voodoo Vince to life in the first place. Zombie dust, which is kind of the closest thing we can get to that reference. Puppets get a flaw in dexterity, so it gets decreased by 2 points, so we now have an 8 in our dexterity. But we get an improvement in our Constitution, Intelligence, and in Charisma, bringing each of those up by 2. We start out with 6 hit points, a speed of 25 feet, we get Dark Vision, we are Constructed. We are also Flammable. We have a weakness to fire damage, which is equal to 1/3 of our character level, which sort of makes sense. It makes it somewhat balanced. And then we have our ancestry feat. We are going with Shiny Button Eyes, which gives us the Cunning Acumen for our perception. And the Ghost Puppet, you are awakened when a bit of another person's life force and a fragment of their soul, possibly, but not always at the moment of their death, found its way into your constructed body. This is sort of a reference to the zombie dust. It's not perfect, but it works, in my opinion. You also get a resistance to negative damage equal to half of your level, minimum of 1, which is pretty nice since you are a voodoo doll. And there is our Shiny Button Eyes. You get a +1 circumstance bonus to perception checks against visual illusions. Very nice. Moving on to our background. Voodoo deals a lot of curses, so we are going with the background Cursed. You're a voodoo doll after all. That'll give us a +2 to our strength and a +2 to our intelligence. And you also get the trained skills in occultism and curse lore. And you also get a reaction known as Warding Sign. Pretty useful. Moving on to our class, we get our powers from Madame Charmaine. Yes, sir, that's right, what is. That's her name, Madame Charmaine, the witch doctor, or voodoo priest, whatever she's technically known as. Whatever the case, you have her powers, so we're going with the witch. We'll get a +2 in our intelligence. We get bonus to our hit points equal to 6 plus our constitution modifier. We are trained in the perception. We also get trained in in the saving throws of Fortitude, Reflex, and an Expertise in the Will saving throws. For our trained skills, we are trained in Performance, Acrobatics, Arcana, Athletics, and Medicine. For our attacks, we are trained in simple weapons and unarmed attacks. For our defense, we are trained in all armor and unarmored defense. For our spells, we are going with the Baba Yaga. Why didn't I put it there? We're going with the Baba Yaga Patron, which is a pretty decent patron to go with. Since we get our powers from a witch doctor, it is the closest thing we can get. Next to, of course, the cursed patron, but I kind of like the Baba Yaga patron a little bit more than the cursed patron. Yes, you are getting your powers from the voodoo curses, but you are also getting your powers from Charlemagne. So, we get our spell list in the occult. Our spell save DC is currently a 17. Our spell attack is currently a +7. We get the hex cantrip known as Spirit Object, and we get the granted spell in Chilling Spray. Hexes are our version of the focus spells, so you need to keep track of your focus points. Moving on to level 2 Witch, we're going with the class feat Cackle, giving us access to the Cackle Hex, which improves our focus pool. And we're also going with the skill feat Root Magic, since it is very similar to what I believe Voodoo Magic is. It's going off of sort of nature-y themes. Moving on to level 3, we get the expert skill of Arcana and a general feat of fast recovery. We're a voodoo doll, so you're not going to get damaged too easily. But when you are going to be able to overcome that damage. Moving on to level 4, we're going to with the class feat basic lesson, the lesson of Calamity. This will give us the Stumbling Curse Hex, and our familiar will get the Ill Omen. I forgot to mention that since you are a witch, you get a familiar, but with Baba Yaga, that familiar is able to be an object. So I would recommend doing one of those needles that are inside your voodoo body. Though it won't be able to move around, which is perfect since it's a needle. It's not really that necessary, but since it's an object, it works for some of our voodoo curses. We're also going to get the skill feat Quick Jump. This video game is a platformer after all, so we need to be able to focus on abilities that give us the ability to jump and run at decent speeds. Moving on to level 5, we're going to get the ability score increases in Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma. We get expert skill in Curse Lore, and we're going for the ancestry feat Cunning Tinker. This gives us the ability to give some special healing properties. Time spent tending to your own form has unlocked your ability to fix other things. You can cast first level Mending once per day as an arcane innate spell. At 7th level, the spell is heightened to 2nd level, and every 3 levels thereafter, the spell is heightened an additional spell level. Very neat. We also get Magical Fortitude just for being a level 5 witch. Moving on to level 6, we get trained skills in Deception and Society. For our class feat, we're going with Bard Dedication, which gives us access to the Muse of the Maestro. This will give us some additional benefits. I picked Bard Dedication simply because there are some side missions where you are playing jazz music. Yeah, that's one of the side quests. And one of the objectives that you have to do in order to get through certain levels. But yeah, you do jazz music. Very neat. So we'll go ahead and get those. And we're also going to be getting the skill feat Bon Mot. This gives us a way of using our wit and our sarcasm to stop our opponents, which is hilarious. I just had to grab it because of Vince's weird humor. Moving on to level 7, which we are experts in the performance skill now. We're going to grab the general feat, Thorough Search, and we are also an expert spellcaster now. For level 8 witches, we get the class feat, Counter Perform, and the skill feat, Titan Wrestler. For Counter Perform, you gain Counter Performance Composition spell. If you don't already have one, you gain a focus pool of 1 focus point, which you can refocus by engaging your muse. So you have another way of refocusing. Neat. Moving on to 9th level, you get the expert skill in athletics. We'll get the ancestry feat of Scaling Poppet, which gives you a climbing speed of 15 feet. Could be useful. I don't remember seeing Voodoo Vince climb, but we are in a platformer, so I'm sure there have been a couple of instances where Vince had to climb. We also get lightning reflexes. Next, level 10 Witch. Go ahead and get your ability score increases in Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Wisdom. We are trained in the Thievery skill. We get the class feat, Inspirational Performance. You gain the Inspire Curse Composition cantrip. We are also going to grab the skill feat, Magical Shorthand, which helps us with getting our spells prepared, which is very nice. Moving on to level 11, we are getting the expert skill of Acrobatics, the general feat of Fleet, which will increase our movement speed by 5 feet, making it now 30 feet of movement. We're going to grab Alertness and Weapon Expertise as well. Level 12, which we get the class feat, Curse Maelstrom Dedication. More curses, which is perfect since we are a voodoo doll, which also gives us a lot of different things to go with. But we also get the skill feat, Battle Medicine, which I had somehow misspelled in this slide. I do not know how. But this will let us either heal ourselves or heal our allies without using any spells, which is pretty nice. Going for level 13, which we are now a master in an Arcana skill, we get the Ancestry feat of Reanimating Spark. This will let us come back from the dying condition very easily. We also get Defensive Robes and Weapon Specialization. Level 14 witches get the class feat, Accursed Magic. This goes off of our Curse Maelstrom Storm, which is great, more curses for us, but we're also going to grab the skill feat Powerful Leap, increasing our jump by 5 feet vertically and 5 feet horizontally. Very nice. Level 15, go ahead and increase your ability score of Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma, each by their respective amounts. Next, your expert skill in occultism, you will get a general feat of Incredible Initiative, giving us a +2 circumstance bonus to our initiative rolls. We are also a master spellcaster. Level 16, class feat of Counter Curse, and the skill feat of Aura Sight make the most sense in my opinion. Moving on to level 17, we are now a master in the occultism skill, and we're going to get the Ancestry feat of Restitch, letting us cast Regenerate as a 7th level arcane innate spell once per day. Moving on to level 18, we're going to get the class feat, Hex Focus, letting us regain our focus points quickly. And we're also going to get the skill feat, Consult the Spirits. This is a very classic Voodoo thing. Consult the bones, consult the spirits. You know the drill. We're going with the occultism version of this feat, which I am not going to read out at all, but I think it's pretty neat. Level 19 is next. We get the master skill of Curse Law, general feat of Untrained Improvisation. This lets us get a bonus to anything that we have not gotten a proficiency in, equal to our proficiency bonus, which is nice. We are also a legendary spellcaster, and we get Patron's Gift. And finally, we get to level 20, Witch. Go ahead and increase your strength, dexterity, constitution, and intelligence. We get the trained skill of Intimidation. We'll get the class feat of Reverse Curse, and the skill feat of Godless Healing. Our patron is in fact a witch doctor, which is not a god, so yeah, makes sense. I didn't allow it. It says a patron deity, so I'm not entirely sure if it's restricted to non-clerics or non-worshipper classes, period. But honestly, this makes sense since we are a patron of a witch and not a deity. I guess this depends on your dungeon master's definition of this prerequisite. But with that being said, that is all the time I have for you today. Did you enjoy this video? Let me know down in the comments section below. And if you would like to see a particular character in the Pathfinder 2nd Edition style, tell me who they are and where they come from in the comment section below. Until next time, this has been Drahan, and I am offline.